Hello, welcome to the Gamer Library podcast, the best podcast you can find on this side of the multiverse. I'm your host, Adrian, and today is our 120th episode. Pretty insane, pretty insane. And we are still in a good lull on game announcements. So there's not necessarily that much news. I mean, we're probably going to get some teases and stuff this time of year, but for the most part, there's not necessarily a whole lot to talk about. But before we get into specifically, right, I think we're recording okay at a decent frame. I can barely tell here with the YouTube live, but ultimately, this week we had a decent amount of cool little things that were, announced or just detailed. And one of them is Universal Fan Fest nights. That is pretty extensive for what they're offering. I mean, I didn't even know we're getting to One Piece, Dungeons and Dragons, or Super Nintendo World, right? And then ultimately the other inclusions is Wizarding World, Harry Potter. That's obvious, and the Scooby Doo was kind of already there, and then Universal Monsters. But Scooby Doo Universal Monsters seems like it's got a crossover specifically with that, which seems super intriguing. And obviously, One Piece and Nintendo seems super cool just on my end. And honestly, I've never been wanting to go to Universal more than specifically that. That just seems cool and fun. But since it's a viewing crossover and other few things I thought we'd be able to talk about. And we also delve into books. And there was one small thing that I wanted to mention specifically. And it's a series that we've talked about here extensively because it's ongoing. I think the fact that it's ongoing is still the reason that I'm even wanting to continue it because I think the main writer died, George R. R. Martin of the Ice and Fire series. Apparently, he doesn't plan on having the work finished on his death, and it'll just have its original current something else. He did a thing, I guess, posthumous after his death that we brought up. And ultimately, I think that with all the talks with not just HBO, but spin-offs and all this other stuff, I feel like they're just gonna make another writer do it, right? Same way it kind of worked Dune or some other stuff, but legally it might not be the same. Who would say? But ultimately, I think that this is at least something to talk about because in terms of all kinds of media, just a writer or creator not being able to complete the vision is something that's tragedy in its own. But him still being alive, we said before, working on side projects. Who can really say how long it's taking him to get that done? But it is all right? It's just if the books aren't finished, what's really the point? The show is, you know, it's a good enough job. Ultimately, I think to a small degree, and that is really just the difference from Game of Thrones, right? I think until the books come out, I don't think that anyone really cares about franchise anymore. I just feel like that's just done, and he's taking his time. And these articles are completely, entirely, extensively on gaming, but we did get a chance to sign up for the Amazon spin-off TV show Fallout Shelter, which seems pretty cool that they're even do something like that. That seems pretty exciting. Now, when that show comes out or whatever at the end of Fallout Season 2, who can say? But ultimately, that's just exciting. So, Super Smash Bros. Creator Masahiro Sakurai, he went into details specifically on what it takes for the percentage counter of the healing items in Super Smash Bros. To really like what it equals. And it's all about calories, right? Percentage based on calories, right? We're not going to go into too much detail. I just think that's it's a little fun, right? That we're getting a little more side news on Super Smash Bros. That seems pretty cool. Apparently, Echo Dolphin is getting some spin-off games. The creator confirms multiple games. That's crazy. I mean, good for them, right? Echo Dolphin, I think like one of the original Genesis games could run on console, Sega Mega Drive, yeah, Genesis, which is pretty cool. So that is pretty awesome. And here is something that we want to talk about in, in pre big length. Wait, Hot Tail is out. I mean, I said it's in like it's early access or whatever, but you can support it in the same way you can support like Path of Exile or I think even like Tarkov, right? The big multiple bundle type stuff. And it's also based for these digital physical, which is awesome, right? I think in the context of Minecraft clones, right? That was called Minecraft clones because other games like Minecraft, Cat Miners, and whatever else would kind of do the same thing, but apparently this game off the base some additions and slice of life improvements that are pretty extensive, right? I don't even know off the top of my head is the I think you jump on 3 blocks and you claim it was just specifically like top of everything else in terms of base game. That's awesome. I think that the mods obviously for a game like this is really going to be seeing that kind of longevity because what Minecraft's real state was until Microsoft picked them up. So that I think is something that is cool to talk about. That we're having these Minecraft clones be really popular. It's what I mean, supported it, offer it from a small time developer, and but that seems pretty cool. And that is all that I know of Hytale. I would to try something that's not game on my radar that I'm going to try and sink my teeth into. But after thinking of Minecraft type games, just it's not immediately my wheelhouse right now. I just think that's pretty incredible because Minecraft used in all kinds of learning stuff. I want to use like this so be able to have an opportunity where they can be that type of game still actually like this Minecraft and here forever. If you're playing at this game, it's also like there's a mod and shit, and you have to go through all this list stuff, and that's cool. But for someone who did play like Castle Energy around time where what's it Minecraft was kind of coming out on PC and it was on console, and you can have both of them just simultaneously. Minecraft got stale. Let's just say it right. It's a very old game, and that's not knock on it. Right? It's still incredible to stay like every other game that's legacy and longevity. But even I think that where as I get older with games, I think the parallel of like TV shows is like what the game that kids are talking about or playing or thinking about or excited for, and it's usually like I mean imagine Minecraft, but like when I was a kid, it was usually the newest game and like the newest game because it's like the newest stuff, and we'll have like the newest players, that same type of vibe. Fighting games, the parallel with TV shows thing. TV shows you get like what kids are doing with like SpongeBob and running times like Billy and Mendy, but like earlier, like Looney Tunes or uh, I don't know, these anime kinda in some, like, way, and now it's like Gumball or whatever else on TV. Like, Gumball, I'm almost like I'm done with, like, regular cable kids cartoons, but I think it's the same parallel. I wanna see Hytale be that same type of game in the future. I think that'd be really, really sick. Close to the, gonna take a little forever. I don't know if it's live. We just had a few more articles, specifically about Battlefield 6, the detail for a few of its season 2 stuff, and a bench on season 1. Pretty bombed on that front. I still think that is really the mods, not mods, but the maps. The maps that are what's gonna carry that game. I think the community creative stuff is all fine. It feels very like Fords-esque in a way. That seems really, really cool. But to me, the scale of what Battlefield was in a way, it doesn't feel the same. It really doesn't. And to me, that's just not exciting to really like go back to. Like I enjoy the maps, but not like the big towering skyscrapers falling or a subway tunnels talking around in that same way. I remember like, Battlefield 3 or stuff like that. Obviously, the Battlefield games went from like world wars and all kind of stuff, but we're like the modern world where the big city type maps are coming, right? Manhattan, okay, the feel that they have, but it doesn't feel necessarily the same. So Battlefield 6 seems account, I'll play it for a bit, but I think depending on what the new map really is, I'm not necessarily gonna keep playing it. And then small thing, Trump announced that AI companies must be there, or your AI energy consumption was pretty cool leading into the future, which is necessarily something, but at least AI and data center is being regulated in some decent way. But that these names for games run AI and all that kind of stuff at some point. But when I was managing, I think the online server, the in-game monetary nonsense and creating. So that's relatively recent for the future. News, I mean, new stuff is incredible. It's difficult to talk about have a like a showcase, right? Or what games come out around these times. But besides what we talked about Hytale, there's Cult of the Lamb and Resident Evil 9. So Cult of the Lamb has DLC, very excited for that. Then Resident Evil 9 has an update feature thing before it comes out next month in February. And showcased the gameplay, and it looks incredible. Like it looks like the evolution. It doesn't feel like it's what 8 was to 7 in a way. It feels like what 7 was to 6, right? In that way. Now it just was like a little more like action in that way for a cool cinematic kill takedown and everything else. So very excited for that. Want to play it. I want to play that game extremely bad. And until then, right? Games, not really sure what we're gonna be doing. Still kind of playing the Fallout games. We do the Fallout TV show rewatch and season 2, all that stuff. But we made barbecue chicken with homemade dough. The homemade dough was the first time, which is incredible. And then honestly trying to catch up with the Mac Dude's top 10 videos because they were new. It came out on the streams. That's massively important. So I'd say that's for the watch, right? But there are a few games I've been playing, and for the future, there is a game that I tried to play the demo, and gonna completely finish it before this comes up. We're gonna have special guests for it. Pretty insane. And then there was a tiny game that was featured on PlayStation's pass, whatever their subscription thing where you get free games. Thank goodness you're here. That game is incredible. It was just fun, goofy, and all in all short. I mean, I don't necessarily know what the best price was initially, but that's like it was a $20 game. $20 game, and I got it free. Where it came out, so maybe it was $20 not, maybe it was more or less. But like it was far more of something I expected. 'Cause I don't necessarily like be like, oh, what this game necessarily look like. I'm just gonna kind of look on to and then see gameplay or the intro. No, I want to like hit start and then figure it out and then all kind of stuff. Usually for most games, so I thought the game would be like some platformer or counter like basic game, right? But I was like, oh, this game has like a direction. This game has some actual thing to tell here. There's like actual like a concept. I thought it was sense, and then turned it into a goofy little enjoyment ride of very weird sexual innuendos and all kinds of other nonsense. It was over incredibly quick. I don't know if there was a sequel or anything else, but like incredible, super incredible. I'll dig deeper into whatever the developers had or you know had made until then. But I mean, that was just incredible. I'd love to see more of that. Someone dropping it out there. And then we played Slot and Daggers. We finished it, but it is one of the most addictive like I've ever played, and it's incredibly difficult. Like early on, just to get like necessarily your bearings. I think when you get the 5 slots, and then you start figuring out what slot power work early on really well, and then how you manage those. Incredible, incredible. I don't know what a real does yet, but I'm super enjoying them. And then a demo for Dice Million. Dice Million has been really cool, really cool. But I want to see where it goes with more dice. I mean, I've only seen 7, I think, maybe 9 with the ball caps, I think. But I want like 50. Give me a more with like 50 at the very least. I want a more. I get to choose like 50 dice and see what happens in that little box or something like that. These cool little roguelite and description, I think, and I guess was like Cult of Lamb. These roguelite games are being really, really hype. They're being really, really made well. The outro rate, super, super awesome. I just really enjoy them. So that's basically it for the game we're playing. We talked a little bit about books, right? George R. R. Martin, and a little bit on like we need to catch up on absolute DC stuff because you now know Joke Origin. I mean, I don't know what it is. I didn't read, but now I'm kind of compelled to. But I was really waiting on the Justice League to kind of really just put like me back into it because then that like a little more of the amalgamation of it's kind of a better like doing a fun connection to it. But now I want to read. But the year of manga might continue. Might be the decade of manga. I don't think I'm ever going to stop reading manga because every time it's just more incredible. And I really think that we need to talk about one anime in particular before we get to the manga rant, because this is going to come up soon. The Summer Hikaru guys. It's not over. I thought they were going to be like super short. No, no, it's a part two. Incredible. So the Summer Hikaru dies. I'm going to start reading the manga. That's for a definite. But I can put this as cliffhanger for that. I suppose that's why I was. So I'm going to disagree with that one. Oh, yeah. Okay. Now, besides the Summer Hikaru dies, because that was just incredible, what we just watched. Besides that, we're reading Black Lagoon, and I definitely don't think I got past the Nazi sub stuff. That was the beginning of the anime. I don't necessarily remember, but this is awesome. Maybe I just didn't understand it as a kid early on, but like, wow, this is incredible. One Piece 1171 came out. I think that this needs to continue being a weekly thing, because the hiatuses, I understand them. Nah, nah. I mean, how much longer are we going to drag this out? This seems like it's going to go on forever. I don't even want to say it. I don't even want to say what this last chapter just had in store for us, because that was just, who could say what we're going to find out by the end of this, right? By the end of this entire island chapter, because it's usually just, the same island and all that stuff. But whoo, I can't even fathom what's going to be by the end of this. Is Mew really just the final boss? I always thought it'd be like Teach, right, in some way. Who could say? I also don't think Loki's going to join the Straw Hats. That's just my vibe. At some point, I kind of thought that, but now I'm just like, mm, that doesn't seem like it really necessarily kind of fits. But maybe I'm wrong. Dandadan 224, incredibly JoJo coded, just for saying. Incredible. I love this anime. The entire manga is awesome. I think the manga is a little more enjoyable just for its awesome stills, but maybe the anime in the future can really, really. I mean, that probably should be movies. Everything's just turned into movies now. Also, the toilet stuff is just, whoo, really, really something. Now, there was a manga that we did attempt to read, and I was like, this sounds pretty similar to something that I've seen 1,000 times, right? The I die, I keep coming back type storyline all the time. I did not know All You Need Is Kill was the source material essentially for the Edge of Tomorrow Tom Cruise movie. Insane, insane. Because I got to chapter 5 and I was like, this seems incredibly similar to something else I've pretty much seen. I didn't know that. I don't know if it's over. Maybe it is over, but I do want to finish it. Tomorrow, Boruto Blue Vortex comes out. How much longer are they going to keep dragging this out? I don't know if it's going to be like 50 chapters, 100 chapters, but my main criticism is that it just needs to have a little more detail in its backgrounds, everything else. It's kind of just not even that good in its whole quality. And it's like, just remembering back on it, like, what are the really good stills or panels that we got from it? I don't think so. I don't think Boruto Blue Vortex does it. and then Jujutsu Kaisen Medulla. Like if I look at those two, because they're both just sequels, right? The Medulla one just blows it out of the water, like just completely. So it has pretty cool fight scenes compared to the other one, and I kind of really dig how the story takes the alien versus humans, and then I guess in some way the spirits, because at least there's like some diplomatic thing going on, and it's not just like Boruto, oh, we're just gonna start fighting stuff, or at least like some kind of secret invasion type nonsense, right? It just ended up boiling down to quick fights and big flashy shit. But now Jujutsu Kaisen Medulla has the alien human dynamic, and then I think we're gonna have some like the spirit stuff. Maybe the aliens are fighting against or playing with it, playing nice with the spirit, demon people, whatever the hell they are. Chainsaw Man, 225 and 226. I mean, we went to hell for a little bit. That was insane. And then I guess we saw Bucksaw Man. I'm not necessarily sure. The animation for the movies is going to be incredible compared to some of the stuff we saw here, but it was definitely difficult to say what we were seeing. But I definitely think that Chainsaw Man is one of the cooler mangas that we've seen. But I definitely think it's kind of overplayed these women are playing Denji type story. I want to see where else we're gonna go. So hopefully it propels from that. But obviously seeing an anime is gonna be incredible. And then we talked about Hikaru Dies, the anime, right? But we didn't read the manga. Free Run. This anime is incredibly fun to watch. It's for how slow it is, how much it's kind of very much like Lord of the Rings in that you just watch characters walk for a decent bit. It montages a few of the stuff in a much funner way. It's incredibly enjoyable. I haven't finished the anime, but obviously we read the manga a few weeks ago, and wow, I can't think that what we're reading now in the manga is going to get adapted at some point because season two is still going. So to think that like in the future we'll be talking about at the very least the ball fight, the ballroom fight, the ballroom, the current stuff that hasn't even like been definitive yet will maybe potentially at some point be animated. That's insane, right? Makes you think that you should have done this sooner. Should have done this podcast thing sooner. Just saying. Probably gonna catch up on Terraformer. That's really it for the anime front, and then what else we're gonna really do, right? This is the first time we've been like excited to do some anime. So Free Run, Terraformer, maybe, and then something else. The Pit season two. Don't know if you mentioned this yet, but incredible start so far. I feel so bad for Mel. I want to see what Mel's disposition is going to be like because that's going to be pretty fun to watch. Something a little different, maybe, hopefully, compared to the same operating stuff because it is cool to see that. But this is like some legal stuff. We don't necessarily know what happened yet. And then Tuesday, most likely gonna be seeing the Greenland movie, the Greenland 2 movie. I think it's just called Greenland 2. I think it might be another title, but yep, did not think this movie was gonna get a sequel. That's the only reason I'm seeing it. Entirely excited because it's gonna be entirely original for the most part. The whole world's gonna be like, yeah, we just live again, whatever. But it's about like finding a new place. It's gonna be all cool spectacles, nonsense. Can't wait for it. Can't wait for it. And besides that, there is really nothing else. So until Cult of the Lamb comes out, which is probably going to be what we're talking about next week, plus our special guest, is it. Peace.